All right, let's dive straight into the engine room of global tourism. We're not just talking about getaways and holidays here. This is about one of the most powerful economic and cultural forces on the planet, and we're going to figure out exactly what makes it tick. This massive boom in tourism we're seeing, it isn't just a happy accident. It's actually powered by a really simple formula: more money plus more time. Seriously, without those two things, the industry we know today just wouldn't exist. So let's pop the hood on this powerful engine, shall we? First things first, let's talk about the fuel. Okay, driver number one is rising disposable income. That's the cash you have left over for saving and spending after all the boring stuff like taxes is paid. And as economies like China and India have just exploded, this huge new middle class has popped up. For the very first time, we're talking millions upon millions of people with the money to travel abroad, and that is completely redrawing the world map of tourism. But money is only half the picture, right? The second driver is having more leisure time. Thanks to things like shorter work weeks, more public holidays, and actual paid leave, people now have the time to actually spend that extra cash. A great example is in Australia, where flexible work policies let people swap overtime pay for longer weekends. That alone directly fuels a big boom in shorter trips. But here's the flip side to this incredible growth. When millions more people are traveling, it puts this immense strain on local environments and cultures. And that brings up a really critical question. Who's actually responsible for managing all the fallout? And this leads us right into the central conflict of modern tourism. How in the world do you balance the amazing economic benefits with the very, very real environmental and social costs? It's an incredibly delicate balance. To even start to understand this, we need to look at the three main players in this whole story. Is it all on the tour operators to fix things? Or is it really a shared responsibility between them, the local communities who call these places home, and the planning authorities who make the rules? So first up, let's talk about the tour operators. These are the companies right there on the front lines, the ones managing the day-to-day interaction between us, the tourists, and the local destination. If you look at Phuket Alternative Tours, you can really see the kind of power these operators has. They actually created and enforced an environmental code of practice which helped protect the area. But, and this is a huge but, they are businesses. They are driven by profit, and protecting the environment costs money. So when it starts to cut into their bottom line, conservation can get pushed aside pretty fast. Okay, next up, let's look at the people who actually live in these amazing destinations. They're the true custodians of the local culture and environment, the local communities themselves. In Candarejo village in Indonesia, a cooperative run by the community boosted local income by over 12% just by managing their own homestays and transportation. It's a fantastic example of their deep local knowledge. But it also shines a big spotlight on a major problem. These communities often just don't have the money or the technical skills to manage all the impacts of tourism by themselves. And that brings us to our final character in this drama, the planning authorities. Think of them as the architects, the government groups and boards that design the master plans and the rules for tourism. The Singapore Tourism Board is a perfect example of an authority that really works. They have a ton of regulatory power, and they've used it to manage cultural hotspots like Chinatown and Little India, protecting the heritage while handling just massive numbers of tourists. But even their best-laid plans are vulnerable. You can't control for everything like wild weather, or a sudden drop in public interest, or even local communities pushing back because they feel like they've been left out. So, you start to see the picture, right? You've got these profit-focused operators, you've got knowledgeable but underfunded communities, and you've got these powerful but still vulnerable authorities. It's becoming pretty clear that no single one of these groups has all the tools they need. And this matrix, well, it just lays it all out, plain and simple. The operators are great on the front line, but they don't own the culture. The communities are the guardians of that culture, but they often lack the funds. And the authorities have the legal power and the money, but they can be totally disconnected from what's happening on the ground. The big takeaway here is obvious. Nobody can do this alone. So what all of this really means is that pointing fingers and trying to assign blame is just a waste of time. The only real way forward is through collaboration. Yeah, sustainable tourism is only really possible when these three groups work together, kind of like interlocking gears. You need the legal power from the authorities, the on-the-ground management from the tour operators, and the cultural knowledge from local communities. They all have to mesh together, with each group's strengths making up for the other's weaknesses.
I mean, this quote just nails it, doesn't it? Sustainable tourism cannot be achieved in isolation. It relies entirely on that interlocking system. It's all about shared responsibility. And all of this leaves us with one last thing to think about. As travel keeps growing and growing around the world, the question eventually turns back to us. As travelers, what's our role? How can we support this vital alliance and make sure we're a positive force in the incredible places we visit?